space. The final frontier. This is the story of The Office mixed with outer space.
And Friends.
And Friends.
And
A little Parks and Rec
and
with
Little
John
Parks
Raffaello.
and Rock, yeah.
All right. Space Force. Is it worth your time to binge? Let's talk about it.
So the game of mental chess has begun.
It's hungry hippos at best.
Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin.
I'm Laura.
And this is our spoiler talk review for Season 1 of Space Force, answering that age-old question, is it worth your time to binge all 10 episodes? I brought Laura here to help me answer that question, because as we were binging the show, I'm just like, I don't even know what to talk about. Like, after about 3 or 4 episodes in, I was like, how do you review this? How do you even get into it? So I thought, hey, let me at least have somebody to talk with about it. What did you, your letter grade of Season 1, go.
A D+.
Whoa.
I was gonna say C- for a bit there, but I don't think it even, because I'm thinking of other C-minuses I've given, so for me, it's a D+.
See, for me,
no, it's a C-. Sorry. I remembered a couple things I liked. Okay.
Well, so, okay, you're bouncing between the D+ and the C-. I'm bouncing between a C+ and a B-.
Oh, that's way too nice.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to land on C+, because really when I think about it, I enjoyed it. I was entertained. I thought it was pretty funny, but overall, it's just average.
Yeah. Well, if you put our grades together, it equals a C. If you average them. C.
I guess so. There you go. So put our grades together. The show gets a C. So probably fun to watch in a few settings. Probably not worth the time to just sit there and binge episode after episode. I mean...
no, because if you don't binge it, you won't go back to it. At least that was my personal feelings towards it.
That's true. Because to me, like... I don't think this is trying to be something in the vein of Parks and Recreation or The Office.
No.
So I don't want to compare it to that, but at the same time, when you watch sitcoms like Parks and Rec and The Office or Arrested Development, like those sitcoms have a quality to them that draw you back, and so you can have multiple viewings. For me, I was entertained watching this, but I don't feel drawn back. And when Season 2 comes, I have a passing interest to watch it, because a nice little cliffhanger there at the end, sort of.
Kind of.
We'll get into that in a second, but honestly, it's like, yeah, I would be kind of interested to see where it goes, but I'm not on the edge of my seat waiting for it to come.
Oh, yeah, and I don't even need to re-binge Season 1 before Season 2 comes. I feel like I got all I needed from it.
Yeah, so, okay, so Laura, let's knock out some negatives then, since that's kind of where we're at. What were some of your biggest negatives with Season 1?
This is both a negative and a positive. I want to know what Lisa Kudrow did to be in prison.
Ah, Phoebe Buffay. You know, okay, so right before we hit record, I was reading this article where I guess some of the creators of the show were saying they like the mystery around it because it makes you lean in and wonder, what did she do? Kind of like a passive joke. For me, it worked the opposite way.
Yeah.
Because if the funny thing is supposed to be this dynamic of this incredible general who is the head of Space Force, but his wife is in prison and he kind of has a crush on this other girl. Like, if that's supposed to kind of be the joke, it's like, well, at least...
That's not really a good joke.
Tell me the joke. What did she do that she's in prison now for 40 to 60 years?
Yeah.
And so my hair is so unbelievably long. I cannot wait to get a haircut. Anyway, 40 to, like, I can't even keep my attention for this. 40 to 60 years. I want to know, what did she do? Like, at least give me a joke around that. But it was such a weird dynamic that I didn't lean in for the mystery. I think it would have been better if he was just a single dad and had a thing with that other girl. What's your thought on that?
Well, I just thought the whole thing about him and Lisa Kudrow, Steve Carell and Lisa Kudrow's characters, being like, oh, let's have an open marriage, and it being Lisa Kudrow's idea. And I'm like, and all I saw almost the entire time with Lisa Kudrow was a more normal Phoebe with an edge.
Right.
And so,
well, Phoebe had an edge.
Phoebe did have an edge, but this is a different kind of edge because she was more realistic. I don't really know. I like Lisa Kudrow as an actress. I thought she did what she was supposed to do well. I just didn't see the point of the whole family situation in this entire show at all. Like the daughter, the mom, I felt like we could have not had them at all in the show and it would have been fine.
The thing that kind of drove me nuts about the daughter, there were moments where she was funny and kind of her side stories were kind of funny. But when you got to the end of the season, I get it. What they wanted to depict was her loneliness, that her mom is in prison, her dad is trying to date somebody else, so she feels like she has to go at life alone. So she makes all these increasingly bad decisions to, like, the meth heads in the pickup truck picking her up. She's like, yeah, I'll go ahead and go with you in the truck. It reached this point where I was just so mad at her. I was like, cut this storyline. Is this show a comedy or is this a dramatic situation?
And that was the entire season, though. I thought they were trying to be like a dramedy, but it wasn't hitting one or the other.
Yeah.
They needed to pick a lane.
And there were parts where when they picked a lane and it was funny.
It was great.
It was like John Malkovich and Steve Carell, I thought was actually a pretty good team when they were being funny.
I agree.
How many times do I need to apologize?
And I enjoyed that whole little, their back and forth.
Their dynamic was great.
So I enjoyed that whole thing. But I think I agree with you. It kind of never went completely drama. So it was the borderline between comedy and dramedy.
And the comedy stuff, it was there, but they didn't want to go over the top, it felt like, because they didn't want it to be unrealistic. Well, no, because
even
the
though
whole thing was
the
unrealistic.
timeline of everything, of getting, the team to the moon and all that was incredibly unrealistic. So it's like, okay, are you trying to do something a little more grounded? Or are you trying to do a parody? What are you doing?
And they didn't lean into the decision or the way that they wanted to as much as I would have liked.
Right. It's like, yeah. So it kind of has this awkward feel to it even when you're watching it. But, I mean, there were still things that I thought were funny.
John Ralphio, I don't know the actor's real name. I'm sorry. Tony.
But
F. Tony.
John Ralphio as the media manager for Space Force.
He was John
pretty
Ralphio,
funny. Yes.
except for a little more normal.
A little bit more normal.
Same big reaction.
But if you liked John Ralphio, watch a little bit more of a normal version of that. It's pretty funny.
I enjoyed his character.
Yeah, I enjoyed his character a lot.
Yeah.
Though, like, the media manager of that one rich girl that came in, and it looked like he and her were going to have a thing, and that's gone. It's like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah, but it was more along the lines of them showing us his connection into the media world.
I guess so.
And how he got the job he got. And
yeah, all right, whatever. But I enjoyed John Ralphio. I enjoyed Steve Carell. Like, he had this general voice. I'm trying to think. I think Michael Scott on The Office created a character with that voice at some point.
Michael Scarn.
Was it Michael Scarn?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's been so long since I've seen, but
yeah, maybe it was a little Michael Scarn as I think about it.
Yeah, he had this like we're just trying to have a voice more like that.
If we don't get this right, it'll be the most cataclysmic failure in the short history of Space Force.
And it was, and then there was moments where Michael Scott came out. Moments where I cannot remember what his name was in that other movie that I'm thinking of. Okay,
whatever.
Tangent. Sorry.
Tangent. But yeah. There were definitely some Steve Carell-isms in there.
Yes.
There were times, though, where he was doing the general voice, and it was like,
it felt like he was trying to be funny, but it wasn't.
Yes.
And that's, again, like we said before, they didn't pick the lane.
But there were other times, though. Like, I mean, I did like Steve Carell and John Malkovich together. I thought they
really did too.
Whenever it was highly comedic scenes. And I liked the heart of Steve Carell's character.
Yes.
Like, he really did
try
to put his daughter above everything else that was going on. He really did try to put his spacemen above everything else that was going on. And especially in the end, that whole thing where, wage war on China on the moon, and he was trying to make the right decision and wrestling with the right decision. Things like that do endear you to the character because you see that good side of him.
Yeah. I will say one of the things that he thought in particular was really funny was when Marcus, I believe was the name of the monkey. And then you go back to see Thomas, the husky, and all you see is his tail.
Maybe it's the other way around.
It might be the other way around, but all you see is the tail floating. They're like, oh.
I believe that Marcus, at some point in the last 2 weeks, must have eaten Theodore.
Seriously?
he had a good laugh at that moment. That was a good moment.
For whatever reason, that was just the most hilarious episode to me. The animals sent to space. First off, you feel so horrible that they launched a husky and a chimpanzee into space and then forgot about them to leave them up there to fend for themselves. And then they spent hours trying to get the chimpanzee to get the tool to go and get the wings of the space thing back. Almost does it, and then flies off into space, saved by the Chinese. And then The husky.
Which we never saw him back again with the Chinese.
Who knows?
And that was another issue. Sorry, you were.
Well, then the husky was eating his tail, floating around. That to me was hysterical. That was hysterical.
That was. So another issue I had is a lot of storylines that just disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
So an example, the monkey is now in Chinese captivity.
Right.
Did we see it again? No. The Russian boyfriend who was asking all the questions
about him.
About Steve Carell's character, like, well, what's the mother's maiden name? What's this? And then all of a sudden, he's gone once we get to a certain point. So there was, and those are two examples of different storylines that started, and then just whatever, we don't care anymore.
Maybe they'll pick it up in season 2, but it's weird how they're gone.
Yeah,
it's like, okay,
you didn't even see them in the later
what are you
episodes.
The chimp thing doesn't bug me as
No,
much.
that
but
one doesn't bug me
I
as much.
actually totally forgot about the creepy Russian guy who was trying to hit on Steve Carell's daughter in this. I totally forgot about that altogether. And you're right. Like, that was kind of an interesting plot point that they were trying to spy and get secrets for Space Force, and then it's gone. It just, no addressing it, it just isn't happening anymore. And then she's flirting with, that Steve Carell's daughter's flirting with the soldier guy, and it's like,
Yeah.
huh.
And so now if this were on TV and I were to be getting these episodes week by week.
Yeah.
One of the things I said in the middle of episode 1, I'm like, would I be giving this as much grace if it wasn't for Steve Carell?
Yeah.
Because I do like Steve Carell as an actor. And I think I gave it much more benefit of the doubt because of him and John Malkovich.
Yeah.
But then if I didn't have to binge it, I probably wouldn't have picked it up again after episode 2 or 3 because it was very underwhelming for me.
I think I would say that too. I wouldn't say it's very underwhelming for me, but it was underwhelming. Like, I had fun with it. I was entertained. The chimpanzee eating the dog was both incredibly sad because I love huskies. But
so cute! Catching the bone in his
oh
mouth.
my gosh, yes.
We like huskies, can you tell?
Nonetheless, though, so good moments of performance sprinkled in there from Steve Carell. There were some pretty funny things between Steve Carell and John Malkovich, so I was entertained. Is it worth at least a watch? I'd say so. Now that Laura says it, if you don't binge it, you might not go back.
Yeah, so if you watch the first 2 episodes and you enjoy it and you think the humor's great, you're going to love the show.
That's the great way to say it. Yes.
But, and I would recommend giving it 1 or 2 episodes because I know people are finding this hysterical because they like that kind of humor.
Yeah.
It did not hit home for me. There was a lot of humor I did enjoy. There was times where I was cracking up, but it's because it was so disjointed for me that I had a hard time with it.
Yeah, I was telling
overall.
somebody on the phone that Laura's overall view of this seems to be kind of 50-50. She's very much on the fence.
much.
I'm probably about, 70-30? Like,
Yeah.
I was more entertained by it than Laura was, but I'm in no hurry to rush back to it.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, that's our review of Space Force. C+, C-. What would you give it? Would you go higher? Would you go lower with your score? Let's talk about that in the comments. And while you're there, hit that subscribe button to become a Durbanian and hit that bell by the subscribe button so you're notified the next time I drop a movie review, ranking video, theological analysis, or anything else I do here. I'm Durbin.
I'm Laura.
Thanks for checking out Durbania.